It's great to be there with you virtually. And I would try that this interaction uh, or this particular interaction, what we thought should be more interactive in nature. Uh, I'm not aware of how many of you are due for renewal as member. How many of you are new, want to become the member for the first time? Unfortunately, I'm not having access to that data right now. But what I would like to emphasize is in what way ACPC can serve you. Many of you are aware, many of you may not be aware at all. And definitely, you all joining this particular webinar definitely like is highly appreciable. And I appreciate the keen interest what you're showing by joining. Of course, I have a presentation, but there is some issue with my laptop. Meanwhile, I can talk and I would listen to you as well. And then maybe during the course of discussion, if I'm able to present the details about ACPC. But briefly, I tell you, like this organization, as most of you know, was established in 2006. And though being the head of the organization, I don't have issue in accepting the fact that unfortunately, the services of this particular council were not actually uh, known by most of you. And ACPC ACPC was always thought as synonym to ACIS or any such incentive before 2014 as well. What I meant to say is that anyone becoming the member of ACPC was only taking the membership just to avail ACIS, the scheme which was there for most of the service exporters. Of course, certain conditions were there. And this was very unfortunate. What happened that everyone was only looking at the incentives. And believe me, the council was not created to incentivize exporters. It was created to create exporters. It was established to help every industry member or everyone in the industry in various services sector to enable them to export. Incentive should have been there only as a byproduct for those who export to a certain level. But unfortunate, it was very unfortunate. And that's why like I feel this is a time to talk about so many other things which the council can do and has been delivering, but silently, not many of you are aware. And in the past 2-3 years, of course, we were dented by COVID. In the past 1.5 year, we have undertaken many activities as well. And I would like to simplify this. You see, I began with the word that we were only used as a gateway, as a passport. In a very simple way, if I say that if one has to avail ACIS, just get the RCMC. Now, what happened over there? Many of you who thought getting the paper processed through a consultant. This is not to offend any consultancy firm or anyone who have joined here. I'm talking in general because this is a point which I believe everyone should know. You see, we noted that many of our members uh, took the services of the consultant who would help them definitely to get the paper processed, to get the documentation requisite for availing ACIS. It was a good service, good gesture on their part. But what went wrong over there? That those I have many such examples where one company enrolled more than 100 members with the same contact detail. So what was happening? Whatever ACPC was sending, in terms of export promotion was not actually reaching to the actual member. It was reaching to the consultants. Many of them were not even passing. And that's how, many of you were just not aware of the services. We started profiling the members for, cumulative since 2006. And we started noticing these things. We are trying to overcome this bottleneck, overcome this issue. What else suggests those consultants who are here and under whom many of our members, many of our industry partners took the membership? I would request them to please provide the number of actual email and the mobile or contact details of the companies who got enrolled for RCMC. What happened is that if there was a myth created that if it is ACIS, take the membership, and that's it. And now with the changed circumstances and with so many, interaction which our minister took, Honorable Commerce Minister, and not only for services sector, but for every sector, there is a clear-cut thought process that no such incentives based on duty scripts will be there for any exporter, be it in the services sector, be it in the merchandise sector. And I would share my own personal example. I came to this council from a merchandise council, like from pharma sector. And believe me, like no one over there took the membership of the council to avail MEIS. They all took the membership of the council to get the market access, to get the to understand the global opportunities available in every part of the world, to take care, to collectively participate in the policy formulation, which would enable cross-border trade. That valuing the membership of the council beyond the incentive. And this is all the more important when Ministry of Commerce is trying, is giving every support, of course, not in terms of duty split, but in terms of the market accessibility, in terms of the infrastructural support, in terms of many other incentives, which actually will enable a lot many value addition in your journey from being a non-exporter to the exporter. And that's where I feel like today's interaction is important. And if you allow me, I'll just take 2-3 more minutes. I believe like if I would be able to share my presentation, but in a nutshell, the council stands to provide you the services like trade information. If I begin with the very simple but very crucial piece of awareness which our exporters would like to have. If you are a budding entrepreneur or if you're already exporting to some market, you would like to explore more market, you would like to go to new regions, and also, as a government agency, we would like your goals to be aligned with the goals of the ministry, with the goals of the government. For example, our government right now is aiming to achieve 1 trillion US dollar worth exports by 2030. This is the national goal, objective. But this won't be possible without your goals or achievement of your own goals. At the firm level, you might also be setting certain targets for a given year and certain projections for the next 5 years or 6 years down the line, 7 years, if it is 2030. So you would have got some midterm plan, short-term plan, and long-term plan. We are also talking about 2047, when we celebrate 100 years of our independence. What should be our export target at that time when we talk about, and it is quite high, as I understand, still target setting is being done. But the idea is that we should have planning for the next 10 to 15 years. Now, there your own individual goals becomes important. How do you achieve your individual goals? It's only if we are able to provide you the right kind of information. We all know that information is the key in every activity of the exporter. So how do you get that information? The council is the answer. It is about the market opportunities. It is about the uh, you know market growth. It is about the emergence of any given market. All these information you can get from the council. Here, I would like to also clarify certain points and also, highlight some limitations when we basically talk about the services exports. It's very complicated. It's complicated from the fact that it is still a data blind industry. Now, just understand that despite the council's one of the main objective to provide the trade information, I'm having this guts to talk about the data blindness. The reason is that globally, the data of services sector is not harmonized. Every country follows their own way. We get the data from RBI, which is not very up to date when it talks about bilateral trade or specific sectors. Say, for example, I'm just giving this example. When we talk about medical value tourism, just as an example, it is clubbed under travel. Now, under travel, there are many things like students coming to India as inbound students. That is also taken care. We don't have the classification of the data that how much value or volume of business generated in education sector, in medical value tourism sector, or in MICE, or in any other way when somebody is coming to India, if they're coming for any business travel. So these are the bottlenecks. There is a process already on to sort it out. But the point which I would like to mention is that despite this difficulty, and we understand that if as an organization or if being a part of the institutional framework to promote exports, if we are having this difficulty of providing the most accurate data to all of you, I understand what kind of difficulty you all might be facing at individual level. So the point is that in whatever way the data support we can provide, still we'll be able to provide you some information, which will be adding value to whatever information you can get from your own sources. Here, we will be leveraging and we are leveraging the strength of our network with embassies. They do get certain data on the tenders. They do get certain data on availability of some opportunities in various sectors. It's a two-way process. We need to raise those demands to them that many of you can write to us asking for certain inputs from a given country. Our embassy is there to help you, but they will only help you through us. Individually, you can write, but quite possible because you see, these are the nodal contacts. They operate through these institutional mechanisms. So some of the questions, many of you and many of our members who are not renewed have actually said it, that if there is no ACIS, why should they take the membership? Now, that is where I would like to put. Membership, as I have already made it a point, that membership was not meant for ACIS only. Schemes have very limited shelf life. They will come and go. Something new may emerge. But to get something new, you need to remain associated. And here, when I'm talking about the information, these are your incentives. These are your, the stepping stones on which you can build, you can explore markets, and incentives are bound to come, will definitely come. So the first point which I thought, please understand the information, understand this particular aspect of trade information, which will be made available to you, which are being currently made available to you as a value addition in your journey. Many of you might be undertaking visits to various countries. It is through, it is your association with us will enable you to provide you more of, felicitation in that regard. A lot many uh, overseas chambers are associated with ACPC. We are in the process of identifying various chambers overseas, just like many other chambers in India. They are, those operating in certain sectors. We are developing those networks. Make use of that. That is where you get those requisite information. Coming back to the second part, which is export development. This is somewhat very much missed out. Of course, many of you might be availing this particular benefits through your own sector specific association. Say, for example, ICAI in accounting sector would be organizing a lot of capacity development program, would be undertaking a number of such initiative, skill development, training program. But you see, those organizations uh, maybe they might be definitely talking about export in in their entire spectrum of the program as one element. In case of SCPC, it is the only element. So our focus will be more to develop the capacity, to develop the competence to enable you to be able to export. Or in case you want market growth, or you would like to explore, even if you are in a given market, how to remain competitive. Those services we are trying to develop, unfortunately, because of SEIS, certainly even our own, all of us, including the secretariat, and of course, the members who were in the board, they could not actually reflect much on those. But that is one of the most inherent part of our service. So export development comes as a second very important area. Even Ministry of Commerce provides a number of benefits on capacity development. But unfortunately, I can give an example. Last year, certain funds were given to us, and these funds are not 100% funds. These funds are because government also feels that to make it effective, if somebody is ready to pay certain things, you understand the value. And that's true in business and everywhere. Government is also there for the business. Whatever, even if they are hand holding, they would definitely understand how serious you are. So about 65% of the total overall cost, they in fact allotted to ACPC. We started with one or two capacity building program in a physical mode. And unfortunately, we are not getting enough participants. They're very reluctant to pay even 500 rupees. Even, depending on so we had to return back that money. So it was an incentive, indirect incentive. Many of you, who would be upcoming entrepreneurs, who would be upcoming exporters, missed out that opportunity. And of course, in the very beginning, I mentioned that because ACPC was only believed to be as a gateway for ACIS, many of you may not have valued the other services. Now, these are the services which every council provides. These are the services which we are there to provide you. What we require is your feedback. What we require over here is your own need analysis. We can understand that in accounting sector, to explore Australian market, or to how to compete against the emerging competitors like from Philippines and other places. Likewise, in consulting engineering, how do you compete, or how do you make yourself competent, or how do you overcome certain barriers in markets like US, in markets like EU, or in emerging markets like CIS region, Middle East, like that. There we are going to provide a lot many hand-holding support. And to make it possible, uh, you all should be aware that we are also signing a lot of MOUs with such chambers with which you all might have been associated, just to synergize the effort. And that's why, that's how 2, 3 conclaves we did last year. But unfortunately, training programs, I don't have much to say. Now, this is a very important aspect of export development, which I feel our members, existing members, as well as those who would be willing to join us, should get involved with us and make full use of it. We will be rolling out a number of such programs in due course of time. Another aspect, the third one, is export promotion. Now, export promotion is definitely one of the most well-known and most visible part. And here I can mention, and I don't have any issue in accepting the fact that many of you were just not aware of, besides GS or Advantage Healthcare or 1 or 2 such events, many of you may not be even aware that, so many export promotion events and activities could be planned and were planned earlier, but were never successful because of lack of participation. But in the last 1 year, post-COVID, we have actually tried to provide you such services. And very recently, we undertook 2 business delegations. Very recently, that was business delegation to Africa, business delegation to CIS region. We could not because of lack of time and preparation time, and some delay in the approval, because there was a credibility to issue in the ministry also, because SEPC never, in fact, initiated earlier to take multi-sectoral delegation or sector-specific business delegation. Every other council has been doing it. Even I have undertaken more than 50 business delegations in my previous experience. Many of councils you would be reading, FIO in fact does a number of such delegations. But specifically to services, ACPC was meant to do that, but maybe we could not provide you that support. But please explore the possibility. And we had about 30 participants in business delegation to Africa, almost similar number of participants in business delegation to CIS. And in this context, I would like to mention that in all such business delegation, if your export, even if you are having 0 export, you're eligible to participate. And if your export is less than 50 crore in the previous year, everyone, subject to this particular condition, was eligible or would be eligible to get airfare, economy class airfare, and of course participation in the highly subsidized way. Every merchandise exporter has availed these benefits. Unfortunately, in services sector, not even a single exporter since our existence, got the benefit. So that I actually mentioned, maybe because of unawareness, lack of awareness, as I say, and also partly because SCPC also never undertook aggressively such initiatives. Last year, of course, the approval came quite late, but I must mention that about 18 crore rupees were granted to SCPC. They will not give to individual exporters the subsidy and other things. And they asked, SCPC was asked to provide export promotion opportunities or carry out certain export promotion activities in the form of B2B, BSM, as I call it, buyer-seller meet, in the form of participation in exhibitions like WTM, ITA Berlin, likewise, MIPCOM, for example, even Accountex. Likewise, name an exhibition relating to a sector, those approvals came to us. And partly successful, I would rather say. But now, since beginning of this new financial year, a number of such activities are planned, and you can have those details on our portal and through our communication. So this is an aspect which I would rather talk in detail about certain benefits what are being given by the Ministry of Commerce other than ACIS or beyond ACIS. The last one, which is very important, everybody talked about policy, foreign trade policy, and many of our members, many of our non-members are unhappy actually about certain incentives missing in the recently announced foreign trade policy. But you see, foreign trade policy is also a kind of, it's a part of the collective bargaining. When you remain associated, when you all collectively talk about policy framework, you'll be heard. But of course, government will hold everyone accountable on the incentivization. So there was a concern that the kind of results which the services sector is showing without ACIS, so somewhere there was an issue. But believe me, this year, the policy which has come is not having an end date. Earlier, it used to be, for the 5-year period and then extended, or a new foreign trade policy coming up after end of 5 year. Here it is, if you read it, it is FTP 2023 without end date. And government has only said no to ACIS, but they have not said no to any other form of incentive. So what does that mean? That means that government is ready to handhold you, provide you all necessary support for export, to enable you to export, to reduce the barrier when they are talking about the market access in overseas emerging markets or existing market. A lot of FTAs are negotiated. Many of you are doing business. You are more aware than us about a given market, the barriers. If you let us know, the government is there to talk about, certain relaxation, to keep repeating at the international forum your concerns. We do receive certain inputs, but a lot many inputs are required. Now that's where, when I say enabling business environment, and that's where your role is very important. As an individual, nobody is going to, pay attention to that. Of course, as I mentioned, you all are a part of various associations. They also would be raising it, and they have been raising it. I can name many of them, like, for example, CAI or Council of Architecture. They have been taking up certain issues relating to the recognition of Indian engineers or architects overseas. Likewise, in case of accounting, a lot many such issues were taken up by ICI. Likewise, in case of travel and tourism, IATO and many other stakeholders, many other organizations have taken it up, like GST issue that might be impeding the export. So they all have been taken up at various points of time or regularly also. But, it will be heard more when Export Promotion Council takes care of such issues. I can give one more example. There are very, very inherent issues, which needs to be addressed in case of entertainment sector, in case of travel and tourism also. So there is respective line ministries. Now, line ministries are there to add value to that entire, developing your competence or something. But export is, again, as I mentioned, is not their focus. Export is the focus of the Ministry of Commerce. So anything, when you are aspiring to be an exporter or when you are actually exporting, any issues pertaining to any sector, even if it could be addressed at the line ministry, gets more, attention in the Ministry of Commerce. And there are various intergovernmental or inter-ministerial committees formed. And that's where ACPC plays a very, very important role. And you need to remain associated if your issues, concerns are raised at that level. That's very important. Another point which I would like to mention, like Ministry of Tourism, for example, they are in the process of formulating their national policy on tourism. A very, very important, contribution is from our side also. We have given our inputs. Now that's where, like, even if they are undertaking certain schemes, that they are formulating certain schemes, the views and ideas from the respective export promotion council become very important. In case of services, all the line ministries, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, likewise, Ministry of Legal Affairs, they all require those inputs uh, raised through a proper platform. And that is like, we are that platform. Unfortunately, like it has not been so much highlighted earlier, but thanks for giving me this opportunity to interact with you, and I'm making it more regular. Maybe every week I'll be talking and to understand your issues and concern, and to talk about these uh, you know contribution, or these handholding, or these kind of support which the council can provide. So these are my limited points, and meanwhile you can raise questions, and I'll take that time to just log in from my laptop and share certain details also. But like I would like, as I mentioned, uh, your questions will enable me to address more specifically, and to highlight something more which I might have been missing. So please, you all can raise a question. I have enough time today to discuss each and every question and your concern. Please.
Certain questions are already here. In the meantime, people may raise their hand. So should I read out those questions?
No. What I will suggest, let them raise the question. They can introduce themselves. They can raise the question. The written questions which has come, definitely I'm going to take it afterwards.
Right, sir. One Mr. Vipin Mohra has raised his hand. Mr.
Yeah.
Vipin, kindly come forward and ask your question, please, to DG sir.
How are you, sir? I think it's a good education for everyone to hear about SEPC. Now, I have one suggestion, like you have different industries, like healthcare, logistics, CAs, and all these different logistics and other things into SEPC. Now, this thing is, you should have, like separate meetings for each of the, maybe committee or whatever you call it, logistics. Try to understand their problems. Then you should have with chartered accountants or medical. Today, if we get chance for meeting the minister or anybody or their secretaries, you could raise only one question or two questions, because you don't get time. Now, if you can have these meetings separately, then you can consolidate all the points, and then for the logistics sector, these are the issues which needs government's attention. I think it will have a lot of impact, on that. Plus, even, for these industries, different industries, separate industry, like SCPC, how, they can help in logistics, what is their role, and what information they need from us. If that can, some paper can be made, I think we can give you with all the suggestions and everything, to take it up with the government, because there are a lot of issues, whether it's concerning GST or operations or charges or whatever it is. So that's what my suggestion is. If you can have a separate meeting for each sector, it will be much more useful than together of 50 different sectors or 40 different sectors.
Thank you, Voraji. In fact, I have always looked up to you, and it's such a nice gesture for you to be present in this interaction. And I do understand, and I have a certain piece of information here, like last meeting, which was held when our Commerce Minister wanted to congratulate the services sector. We thought that certain issues would be taken up at that time, and your point was well taken that day itself. And after that, like we have written to the ministry, and very soon they would engage with sector-specific members. So that's what one development. I had already suggested them to constitute the interministerial committee also, because you see on GST, for example, if I can highlight that, Ministry of Commerce has got a very limited role, but only yesterday I got one piece of information where it has been suggested that if we can get some meeting with our finance minister. So that's how, like, your point is very well taken. And I believe even the interaction what I'm having today is definitely more generic in nature, more common to all. But even sector specific interaction we proceed. And I would request, and you have already made it a point, Raji, like I would request everyone, and of course you have always been supportive, to provide those piece of information. We are collecting that, and we will be definitely representing. So that's how we can contribute significantly in your in addressing the issues of concern. Besides, of course, what could be done as export promotion or whatever activities we undertake on behalf of export development or market information or export promotion. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks. Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. There is another Mr. Abhinav Sanghi. Mr. Abhinav, can you come forward and ask your question?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm Abhinav, Director at IRC Engineering. Actually, I wanted to, we deal in services for the oil and gas and power plant sector. So I just wanted to understand what benefits and can we avail from joining SEPC, and as well as what are you presently doing for the oil and gas sector?
That's a very important point. Environment is one of the very important sector given to us. And of course, it relates to energy also. And unfortunately, you see, most of our activities were only pertaining to travel and tourism. Of course, we never undertook any participation in exhibition globally. Now we have since last year. Likewise, education. I'm here in Dubai right now for JETEX, and we have a very huge pavilion here for the first time on education sector. Why I'm giving this example? Another one, like last year, we had a massive presence in MIPCOM, and I believe there was a question from entertainment sector also. I just read on the footnote. Now there also, we participated in a big way.
And your laptop started.
Yes. So now I'm closing this.
This can be muted.
Yeah. I'm closing this here.
Yes.
I'm closing this here.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm closing this.
Okay, sir. Yeah, it's better. Sir.
Like coming specifically, is it okay? My sound?
Yes, sir. Your voice is okay, and you are quite clear, visible. You are okay, sir. It's okay.
I hope no echo. Yeah.
No echo, sir.
Abhinavji, coming specifically, please, please provide us. We wanted to participate in Hanover, for example, which had this particular sector in focus this year, and my colleague Mayank was trying very hard. But ministry has certain conditions. They were ready to provide us the grant for undertaking that business delegation or organizing a show, as I just mentioned. And Dubai right now with 30 universities and education institutions to capture, to avail the opportunities in the Middle East countries. Now, likewise, Hanover Messe, one of the very, very important exhibition in engineering sector, in energy sector, and when they are town planning and other things, we were to participate, but unfortunately, because of lack of number of participants, normally ministry gives, we need to have minimum of 20 or 30 participants. likewise, and they give the funding support. We will be required to let us know the shows which are organized globally on this in this particular area, and participating through SEPC platform will be very much economical, as I mentioned about the grant what we offer, air travel, subsidizing the cost of participation. This is one. Second, we are going to have a number of business delegation in coming months. And unfortunately, it is not right there on our portal, but maybe in the next 15 days. We are just awaiting approval from the ministry. We are undertaking delegation to Latin American countries, taking delegation to CS region, Africa, ASEAN, and European region. Now, 4 or 5 regions are very important. And every delegation will, depending on your market, of course, like if your input comes, is very important. But we do select on the basis of the information available, on the basis of requests from our embassies and missions. We do select certain markets. To make it more economical, we try to cover 4 or 5 countries in one visit. People do say sometimes that the tour becomes very long, but no. You can choose out of 4 countries, you can choose 2 markets. You can prefer to go to even 1 country also. But depending, because, we would be taking multi-sectoral or maybe focusing on 3 or 4 sectors. But at times, if we do have significant number in one sector, we can take the business delegation. This is what I would like to answer. On the capacity development program, Avinodji, if you can let us know, because develop the competencies also requires a lot of handholding support. Now, Ministry of Commerce is ready to provide such support. In case there is any other specific need which you feel can enable your particular sector to, to export, to offer the services to the world, we are there to provide you that support. But we do require certain inputs.
Okay, so thank you.
Hope it's fine, Avinodji. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that we also have to share what all conferences are beneficial for us as an audience.
Exactly, that's how we learn. That's how we learn, and that's how we are going to serve you.
Yes. And plus,
this is information. You are in the field. You know more than us in terms of the exhibition, in terms of global shows or experience. Use your network. From there, we will be relying definitely on the data what we get. But if it comes from our members, comes from the industry, even if you are not member, that actually helps us to actually serve you in the best possible way. You are investing money, even if it is 35% or 40%, besides the grant given by the government to, to organize such activities. You are definitely going to incur certain things. So to make it more effective, we always try to understand that which market is important from the point of view of our exporters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Mr. Kalpesh, kindly come forward. You are unmuted. You may ask your question. Kalpesh, are you there? I think we can move to the next question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Have you started the presentation, sir? I can see.
No, I'm listening to this. I've just shared. So I've just.
Because your presentation is shared here, sir.
No issues. I can.
Okay, sir. So the next gentleman is Mr. Nilesh
try to answer as
Agarwal.
many questions before the presentation.
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Agarwal, please go ahead.
Mr. Nilesh, kindly come forward. Ask your question.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Nilesh.
Hi, sir. So I'm pretty new to SEPC. So I just came to know about SEPC last week itself. So
Okay.
to tell about myself, we manufacture and we export glass bottles right now globally.
Mhm.
And, we charge our clients for the development of the bottle, which we invest. We basically make molds, and when we have, it's a long process.
For the development of the bottle on the services. Okay.
Yeah, for the development of the bottle. So it comes at a massive cost to the clients. So my question is that covered under SEPC?
You see, when you're selling or when you're exporting a commodity, it actually, like if it is glass bottles being exported, this will be taken care by other council, maybe Capexil if I am not wrong. Okay. And if it is, so when it is about product, some other council takes care. But
Yeah.
when it is about the services, what you can offer outside, then we figure it. Yeah.
So the service that I provide is basically the development of the bottle. So maybe
So that if you're offering that development of the, it is a kind of technology which you would like to offer
Correct.
in a simple way, if I say.
Mhm.
So for that, definitely like we are the platform.
Understood, sir.
It's a
Perfect.
very niche area, but for that we are the platform. We
Understood.
can get you the right kind of, importers or right kind of people in various markets who would be willing to avail your services. Yeah.
Got it, sir. Thank
Hope
you.
it is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks.
Another gentleman, Mr. Vinayak Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, kindly come forward and ask your question.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. So I am like Nilesh. I am also very new to SEPC,
Mhm.
and I am a chartered accountant by profession.
Please go ahead.
And I also wanted to understand how can SEPC help in promoting CS services abroad.
Okay. As I mentioned in a very, concise way about the export promotion activities, what we do.
Yeah.
At the same time, you can avail those facility. I can tell you one example. Say, for example, Accountex. Accountex is an exhibition which organized every year in London. This year also, Ministry had given us the approval, and it was to be, in the very first week of May, if I'm not wrong. We were to go, but because, like we wrote to your institute also, ICI.
Okay.
But what happened? Like many of, unfortunately, many of, willing exporters or upcoming exporters or those who wanted to offer their services, they're not willing to come forward. And because, Ministry only provides about 65% of the cost. And as you know, London, the venue and everything is very, very costly. The event organizer, we tried to negotiate, but because we could not get even 25 numbers, so we had to postpone it, cancel it in fact. But there are many such opportunities emerging. There you can participate. And I would like you, you can speak to your network. There are many people whom you might be aware, knowing
Right.
and having this common aspiration to market.
Right.
So if they all can come forward, this is one. Second, not exhibition, but bioseller meet, as I mentioned. Now, when we talk about bioseller meet, we take a delegation. Now, it could be multi-sectoral, but what we do, and that this is for everyone to know. I did mention about Africa delegation. I did talk about CIS. Now, everybody definitely has a concern that would they be able to meet the right kind of buyer over there or right kind of people who would like to get the services which are offered by you. So matchmaking is done, and that is done if we receive your confirmation well in advance. That's first, because buyers don't come unless they get your profile well in time, much in advance. We seek the services of our embassy. So whatever your profile is there, we get it translated in the local language. Embassy also from their own fund releases advertisements. The council also appoints local marketing agencies, those who deal with multi-sectors or those who deal with a specific sector, to mobilize the participation of the local companies or your own prospective importers who would be willing to talk to you and who would be willing to get your services, matching, of course, their need and requirement and whatever you are offering. So BSM actually provides a very, very good platform to explore the opportunities emerging. Another area is like there are sector specific exhibitions which we will be organizing in the coming year, and you all might be aware about Global Exhibition of Services. Now, that was a platform where, those who are willing to avail the services from India are invited at the, by subsidizing their cost of travel by the government, by the Ministry of Commerce. We normally called it RBSM, reverse bias survey. When importers come to India and they meet you in the exhibition format or BSM format. So 3-4 such events are coming up. One is Sanjeevani, that is on the healthcare part. One is Atithi on travel and tourism part. And the most important one, which will be the biggest show, is Global Exhibition on Services, GES, which will take care of every services, and that we are going to most probably organize in the month of November. More than 800 overseas business visitors will be inviting. And in other shows, it will be about 300 to 400, depending on the grant what we get. So make use of this opportunity. And once you start getting into this, into this process of being a part of the activities, a lot many opportunities will emerge.
Sure,
Another important fact which I believe I missed out, and since it is there in the presentation, but I must mention, my team has been requesting everyone, and I mentioned about it in the very beginning, but that was more on the consultants and number of companies coming to SEPC through them. It is about your individual profiling. We initiated this exercise last year. We wanted each of our members or even non-members at least submit their profile, their contact details, which we are making it available to anyone in the world. Anyone can come and directly contact you. We are not putting that condition of membership. But of course, if you have the membership, which is in fact very much on the lower side right now, we have already waived off the one-time registration fee. So it is hardly like 23,000 or 20,000, which is nothing for, for upcoming entrepreneurs as well. You spend 20,000 or something on so many other things which may not be important. But here you are getting that support. But anyway, coming back to the profiling, I will share that slide. It is also available on our portal. Please go ahead and put your profile on that. That is also going to bring to you a global visibility. So that is another services which is common to everyone. Yeah. Hope, Vinayak, I'm able to answer your question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask one more thing.
Please.
Yeah, so as I know, India has individual arrangements with countries like Italy, Germany.
Please
So
go
we
ahead.
have all these chambers, Indo-German chambers, we have Indo-Spanish chambers. So, so does SEPC also have some arrangement with all these chambers?
Yeah, I mentioned that in the very beginning, that we are also in the process of signing MOUs with these chambers.
Okay.
Yeah, we are in the process, and definitely, as I mentioned, whatever activities we undertake outside, it is not only our embassies and missions over there. It is also the marketing agencies over there, and it is also overseas embassies in India. We avail their services. In fact, even visa issues, we get it sorted through them in the least possible time. Besides the information about the potential, about the prospects. So all these things. And that's where, these Indo-German, Indo-Australia, all these chambers which are there, they also play a very critical role. So we, as an organization, our goal is, what is the goal of the Ministry of Commerce? The goal of the government. You are having your own individual goal of the firm. We try to synergize and align with the broader objective. Here, our interest is to provide you as much visibility, as much opportunity as possible. And of course, like incentives definitely is also critical, but it is always better, to incentivize your journey from being a non-exporter to exporter, or being an exporter to becoming a larger exporter. So that is where, we intend to provide you the services, the value addition. And if you are exporting, may not be this year or next year, definitely some scheme might be coming. But to avail that, you need to remain associated. Please.
Okay,
More
thank you,
questions?
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Vinay.
Yeah, Mr. Nitin Sankar, kindly come forward and ask your question, please. Mr. Sankar? Seems he's not there.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am from Symbiosis.
Okay, what I'll do is, yeah, please go ahead. Symbiosis is a very important member and they are here with us in Dubai also.
I applied for the application under ACI scheme for the 1920, but we did not get scripts yet.
Okay.
We have been informed that government has not allocated funds, so we cannot issue the scripts. Our question is, when government defines policy for the financial for the period 15-20, if policy funds should be allocated in for that specific period, then why should it happen?
You know, this is a very specific question. Of course, like the agenda for today was not addressing this issue, but since you have raised it, so I would like to, I'm aware of this, and not only you, but we are aware of many other organizations, companies who are facing this difficulty. I must mention here that, you know, ACI's notification for 1920 came in 21, September, if I correctly remember. That was, you know, after a lot of persuasion to the ministry, and close to 10,000, like if the correct figure was 6,000 something, was allocated, you know, and that too took care of the previous pending amount, and the you know, allocation for that period was about 2,000 or something. Please don't get me wrong if I not able to give you the correct picture, but correct figure, but it was something in these brackets, and there was a rationing, you know, that not beyond 5 crore. You know, this was mentioned there. A lot of companies filed, and there was a cutoff date within which they had to file those details. And in case their documentation was incorrect or some deficiency, time was given. I need to understand that if you are stuck with the claim for 1920, then they will definitely entertain, you know, the funds had been allocated, but maybe because of certain deficiency, you may not be getting the answer. So I would suggest write to us, because one such case my colleague Abhishek has already entertained, I believe. And maybe like, if you just write to Abhishek or myself, I think we can take it up. So this is entirely a different case. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Jack.
Any more question, or should I go ahead with the presentation?
Yeah, Mr. Jayakumar is there, sir. He will ask.
Yeah, Mr. Jayakumar, please.
Mr. Jayakumar, kindly come forward and ask your question, please. Okay, we'll move to the next one, sir. Mr.
Yeah, please.
Vinyan B is there. Mr. Vinyan, kindly ask your question.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Mr. Vinyan.
Hi, sir. Sir, I'm coming from Prayan Animation Studio. My question is, in service industry, especially in animation and entertainment, lot of event and business fairs are organized internationally. So how SEPC support companies from India to showcase their business in those events?
A good question, and a very like important question. I have already answered it partly, but let me come specifically to your sector.
Okay, thank
you know, you would be happy to know that Ministry of Information Broadcasting and Ministry of Commerce, and we are a part of the Ministry of Commerce, but we actually like we work very closely with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So last year, and in fact previously also, we participated in MIPCOM. But in previous years, it was, you know, only the council officers and one or two industry members went there. But last year, in the month of October, it was a delegation of about 80 companies from India in MIPCOM.
Okay.
we have taken a very larger space, and with the Ministry of IB's support, we did a lot of PR exercise in that market in France. And it was not only limited to France, global. The entire globe actually comes over there for animation, gaming, and many other content-related, business opportunities. So there we participated, and we are in the process of developing a 5-year strategy for Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. And we will be participating in 4 or 5 such events. As you just mentioned, I must inform everyone in your sector and would request you to also talk about it. We will be participating in the MIPCOM this year also, and Kids Screen as well. We are going to participate. Certain events on animation also we are planning to participate, but depends on the funding support from Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Just to add, we have positioned India as content hub of the world in the last year's edition of MIPCOM. We will be the country of honor in 2024. So there is a continuity. For the next 5 years, there is a huge plan to strategically go into various markets.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Please do avail these opportunities. Yeah.
Sure, will do.
Sir, last
Any
question,
more?
one Mr. Kalpesh Shah.
Yeah, please.
Kalpesh Shah, kindly come forward and ask your question. Mr. Kalpesh, are you there?
Anyway, like he can raise this question later on as well. I would request you have some written question. Now, if that has already been answered, leave that. Any question which remains unanswered, like which might have been there in the written way, form you would have received.
Yes, sir.
Abhishek, if you can also
Abhishek,
look into
kindly read
it,
it out.
and just let me know.
Sir, बोलो कौन सा है? Whichever question you will deliver.
Or okay, let me just go through the presentation. Now, although I have spoken quite a lot, and I believe I would have added some insight about SEPC to all of you, those who are participating in this discussion. Many of the slides will reflect what I have already said. So I'll pass that very fast. Now, this is what, it has been a major concern to me. And I believe this was a myth in terms that, as an exporter, you get RCMC and get the incentive. This is what was thought about SEPC, which is, partly true. I mean to say, we were not only meant for incentives gateway, as I mentioned, and I'm emphasizing it more and more. We actually mean this, exporter, entrepreneur. We have been established to serve you, to contribute in your value chain, to, have a framework of ecosystem to support you in your own individual goals of export, of, getting access to any global market, any market. And at the same time, our objective is aligned with what Ministry of Commerce or the Government of India has. Like just an example here is $1 trillion services exports by 2030. So as an organization, our goal is to serve you. Our goal is to align the policies, every activity with the overarching goal of the Ministry of Commerce and the Government of India. Now, how do we do it? I've already explained this particular slide. Trade intelligence. I did talk about trade information, market analysis. This is the broad framework of the services, what a council is supposed to do, what a council is supposed to provide to our members. Business opportunities, business contacts, market access conditions, export development, as I mentioned, export readiness. In fact, very soon we are going to come up with, competitive index. We will be assessing your competence to become, to access any given market. But that will require a lot of collaboration with chambers, as I mentioned, with Exim Bank and with many other institutions who are there into, building your credibility, assessing your export competitiveness or your entire journey. What are the things lacking? So those things will come over here. Training and counseling. SEPC, of course, will also help you at the individual level on a strategy formulation and development and value chain optimization. In what way you could make best use of the resources available. There are schemes by various other ministries. How do those schemes could be streamlined? Related to this, I must also mention something very important. And, last year, SEPC signed MOU with Ministry of MSME. And believe me, this signing was not only for the services sector, but every council signed the MOU with MSME ministry. Now, the idea was that any first-time exporter belonging to SSI or MSME sector, their fee, 1-year membership fee will be waived off if they do exports in the first year. Is an exporter having zero turnover or any entrepreneur having zero turnover? So if they make first-time exports, their fee will be waived off, and the council will get the reimbursement on their behalf from the Ministry of MSME. But since it's the government money, they needed certain document. Unfortunately, because of lack of interaction.
Sorry to interrupt, your voice is breaking.
Am I audible right now?
Yeah, it intermittently goes, sir.
Okay, because there could be some issue with the connectivity. But anyway, idea is that we, in merchandise export or export relating to the product, you have certain documents, you have shipping bill, airway bill, whatever, certain banking documents. In services, there is lack of having streamlined documentation. You definitely might be submitting your document as required as per the law of the land to RBI or any such agencies. But the council is unaware. And I actually went to the ministry to ask in what way our members, the first-time members, first-time exporters could avail that. So they needed certain set of document, and we wrote to our members. Unfortunately, nobody informed. So, this is one service which can be provided, and I'll request that, with a specific to a given sector, say, for example, if in case of logistics, what are the documents that will certify that you are the first-time exporter or the exporter? If we are able to have that checklist of those documents, we need to submit it to the ministry, and they will provide us the funding support to waive off your membership fee for the first year. So please make use of this. This is one example I gave. Now, the other part which I mentioned, export promotion. Investment has also become a very important part now, but let's focus on promotion, which I've already mentioned. So many activities, RBSM, exhibitions, buyer-seller meet, focus group interaction, even on virtual platform. Those activities are important. Enabling business environment, as I mentioned, policy advocacy, in the country also, outside also. Say, for example, I believe many of you would have received an email from my side yesterday only about, FTA negotiation is happening with Canada. And I am aware of issues relating to entertainment sector. Many such market access issues are there. Now, these are the platforms which should be utilized, but it depends on the input. Government has asked the input from us. We need to know it from our members. If you share it, it will create that, enabling environment. It will facilitate your market access strategy. Please do share such information, and policy advocacy becomes very important that way. Any regulatory challenges if you are having. So these are 4 major areas where we serve. We will be soon coming up with something on a startup also, but you'll have to wait for it. Yeah. Now, summing it up, as a council, what we are going to, our goal is to export, our goal is to make our members exporter or enhance their exports. For that, you require buyer, we'll be providing you. For that, you require handholding, we'll be providing you. For that, you require information on market opportunities, we'll be providing. For that, you will require policy guidelines, policy inputs. I mean to say framework where, a support is there. So policy framework, that is what we are going to provide you. And as a kind of, outcome of that, certain incentives also like MAI, Market Access Initiative, various schemes of the government. We are there to serve you in these, summarized manner, as I can say. Our role is as a catalyst. And this is more specific, sharing information, providing assistance, collecting data. As I began, we don't have the data as classified in merchandise sector on HS code. In services, it's very difficult. But, mere mentioning, sending the return file, your CS certified return file gives us an idea about the export of a given sector, whether it is going down, whether it is, showing some growth trajectory, or in certain markets, if it is not giving the kind of result vis-a-vis the efforts being undertaken individually also, or by the council, or by the ministry. For example, ministry is very keen to know that certain sectors were negotiated in India, Australia, ECTA. Have we been able to, cash on the opportunities created in case of hospitality industry, in case of yoga teachers, in case of chartered accountancy? We don't have the data. Now, that is what we can have if you provide us the return. Many of you would be doing business in those countries. But after this FTA negotiation, have you got more accessibility? If that information comes, accordingly we'll be helping somebody aspiring to get into that market. And the government will also be assessing the effectiveness of such FTAs or such ECTAs. Likewise, in UAE, with the new economy, education policy, and here certain changes happening, certain benefits which UAE provides to the education sector. We are trying to evaluate, and we are getting so much of feedback by 30 institutions which are here. I'm talking to them even after this particular interaction. I'm actually going to the venue. I'll be interacting. Today's the last day, and here the exhibition happens in two different timings, in the morning and in the afternoon. So I'll be discussing with them. A lot of inputs I'll be having to measure the effectiveness of NEP also, how our members are making use of it, how the entire education sector is making use of it. So these are the things which I believe it's a two-way process. So collecting data becomes very important. As mentioned, we act as a linkage to the global market, linkage to various networks, again, with your help as well. Undertaking market studies. The government earlier used to provide support on that also, and still they would provide. If, say, for example, in entertainment sector, if we know that Canada could be very important, it will result in certain growth in employment, certain business opportunities. And also, how do we undertake to, compete against the other players, global players in that market? Those are strategic studies could be undertaken. Indicating export opportunities. On our portal, we will be having the trade lists, live trade lists also in times to come. Offering guidance, supporting startups, handholding new exporters, settling dispute. Normally, council doesn't involve, but in services, because it is very complex, we are ready to offer that as well. And here, embassies will also play a very important part. Recognition and awards, just to motivate our exporting community, and also the kind of value addition. We have certain recognition and awards based on certain goals. It also helps the entire exporting community. It motivates you, it motivates us as well. Now if we talk about digitization and so many other things, so in the changing times, our role also changes. So there will be a lot of technology centers which we want to create, incubation centers which we have initiated with various state governments, with the various ministries in the central government as well on incubation center. We will be also going out and out on the social media, not only as a part of as an organization, but also if you are associated, you also get a lot of vantage points. Individually, you are definitely promoting digitally your own company globally, but on a platform, it will add a lot of credibility, and more so when it is a part of the Government of India, a part of the Ministry of Commerce, partnering with the states, as I mentioned, harnessing e-commerce potential on the gig economy. We are definitely, in fact, the new foreign trade policy has laid down certain guidelines and emphasis that we will be able to provide you as a support, offering guidance for any given market in terms of export development, in terms of export strategy, all those things. Mapping the supply chain, that's the way ahead, what you're looking at. Focusing on standards and quality. In manufacturing, it is very easily defined, but let's understand, how do our Indian tour operators attract inbound tourists? Safety, quality, the place where the inbound tourists come to reside, the nearby areas. How do the guides should be trained to maintain certain standards? What kind of quality guidelines they need to adhere to? So these information, because even if we promote outside road shows and other things, it will not result into getting the tour operators in India if you don't provide safety, hygiene and other factors which are very important. They're a part of the decision making. I remember a long time back, I was in Philippines, certain number of tourists, I was just walking down the road. It's a very good example. And at that time, that Nirvaya episode had happened. And believe me, like when I was walking down the road, of course, Indians could be recognized easily. I could find many ladies, many people who were willing to come. They had booked their tickets, but they withdrew their plan to visit India because of these concerns. Of course, it is a kind of brand building. It's a kind of image. Now, for that, image building, brand building, standards and quality are very important. Our friends from the animation sector, our friends from accounting sector, in consulting design, they all understand this. Sometimes I feel that in case of tour operators, it goes missing. In hospitality, people come and stay. So hotels should also adhere to even if it is a budget hotel, they need to adhere to those standards as expected. Now that's where we can play a very important role. And that's what I call it, competence building or export development. And adding to export basket, if you're exporting to, say, Russia, can we add Uzbekistan in that basket or not? That's where role becomes important. Creating digital stores. Now, that is something in the process. I have mentioned that start building a profile on our portal. That is going to provide you a digital store. A very simple example I'll give. You all have heard about India Mart. Of course, it's a private organization, not at all supported by any government, any ministry. But, they are also our members. So I can talk about as an example. Long time back, during very initial phase of my career in Mumbai, it was a gems and jewelry exhibition. And I found 3-4 young guys. They were there with a laptop, not even, notepad and other things. Nobody had thought at that time. On their desktop, they were just asking everyone to just register their profile. Later on, they developed business model and other things. But what happened? The more and more profile they collected using these exhibitions, they built a store on their portal. And then they started marketing it outside. And you find those information. Now here we have an advantage. It's a government supported body. It's a part of the Ministry of Commerce. Our embassies are linked with, if you profile on our portal, your profile is available, see the kind of benefit it can bring. So please, that's what I'm saying. We are in the process of creating that, but your role becomes important. And developing hybrid marketing model, that's in times to come. I'll explain in detail. This is very common on our portal. We are catering. We have been mandated with about 14 sectors and others which takes care of many sectors like IT, ITS, name anything, it is there. And out of that, 12 champion sectors were carved out by the ministry. So that is also with us. So for the ease of information, we have mapped this, the sector on the left side and the right side. Now, every sector is covered, is mandated to SEPC to support. When you go to DGFT to get our membership, you'll find we have further broadened it to about 25 or 21 sectors. Now, this is the page I wanted to talk about. My colleagues will definitely get into with you. India serves. Now, that's the positioning we are doing and government is supporting. Trade with India. Here, details of services exporters from India. Credibility is a very important part, and that too in services. Why people should get the services from you? If they understand that you could be a trusted partner. Of course, likewise, even importers, you can have the same view, and you should have, because payment will come from them. If you render your services, if payment doesn't come. So it's a two-way. Again, credibility of the buyer, credibility of the seller. Here I'm talking about credibility of the seller, credibility of the services offerers. If as a member, if you are there with us, you will have more prominence, more credibility added to it. When we organize, they do ask that, are you the member of certain council or certain association? They do ask these questions. You would be definitely a member of your association and some of the very well-known institutions like ICI or many things, but being a part of the Export Promotion Council definitely adds or, complements that particular, credibility what you are having. It adds more to that value. It just supplements or complements the value addition. Please profile yourself. I'm again and again mentioning, even if many of you may not be trying to become the member right away, but please undertake these activities. There's no harm when we talk about the digital marketing. Explore global business opportunities. That's where, like, you can just submit your, Indian companies can service the profile for generating business lead. So when you write here, it will be automatically getting transferred in trade with India as a kind of member. So these two are available. Submit your trade inquiries. Now, this is a very important point. Even if you are not putting your profile, if you just mention that we are offering these services with basic contact detail, we are going to pass it on to our embassies, and we are giving the linkages, we are giving the administrative control to our embassies to access this. We are also going, somebody mentioned about accessibility or our network with various chambers like Indo-German or Indo-Australia. Even they can access this. So that is what we are working. At the same time, we are also building a database of potential importers. So we are asking our embassies, we are asking our network overseas to submit the profile of the companies who are willing to get these services from India. They can also post certain leads, and that's what overseas companies seeking to connect. They can put their detail. We can separately talk about it, and my colleague Abhishek and everyone else, my deputy directors, they will definitely engage with you. But please actively participate in this exercise. These 4 ways of getting visibility, 4 ways of getting the global trade leads, 4 ways of positioning India as India serves will be very, very important. And we will also be very, very motivated. This scheme, is very important. Many of you, in fact, were not aware. I have been talking about it, and in fact, I started with it, is Market Access Initiative.
Kindly bear with us. There seems to be some internet problem at other end. Sir will come join us back soon. Please bear with us. Sir, kindly wait. Sir may be joining soon. He is abroad and he is joining from there only. It seems there is some internet problem at other end. Kindly bear with us. We are trying to connect back. Dear participants, I had a talk with BG sir. There is some small problem at remote end. He is joining soon. Kindly be with us. He is joining within 2 minutes. There is a technical glitch at the other end. Welcome back, sir. Yes, sir, we can see you. But still, it seems the internet is a bit shaky there.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, but your voice is coming intermittently. So better, can we just switch off the video and so that we can hear you at least, sir? It seems internet bandwidth is low at that end.
I can switch off my video. I want. What I'll do is like.
Now we can hear you well. You are audible now.
Okay. Yeah, I regret this, but definitely this presentation will be there for everyone. Just 3 points I was highlighting about the, in case for any market, if you are paying some registration fee or some fee for accessing the market to the government up to rupees 2 crore or 50%, whichever is less, is being given to the export. Now, this has been integrated for the services exporters. I don't know much. I've been trying to get those. If they have to operate in a given country to bring the tourists to India to register with the local partners, that is mandatory. I think in UAE. Now, if some mandatory fee to the government to be paid, that will be reimbursed 50% of that up to rupees 2 crore. None of these services are so built. This is something missing. Now request our service exporters community to make use of it. And in case there are information relating to that, please do provide us, because it will be only made available if we are able to verify with all the documentary proofs. So this is something. Earlier, only few services sectors were included in MAI. That has been, all these sectors are now included. When I joined, I went ahead and discussed that, and they have included. They have also included this, this called others, mentioning that anything which is missing in services can also be, taken into account. They talk about the incentivization under this particular scheme. I have often talked about reimbursement of airfare, and it is there. And the FOE value, of course, this is normally meant for the merchandise, but in case of services also, they have given that 50 crore should be less than 50 crore in the previous year to avail this benefit. These schemes are to promote the medium players, small scale players, so that they grow, they make use of the market opportunities coming up. And this is the 70,000 for parts of the world, for Latin America. So if you are undertaking, say, business trip to Latin American countries, up to 1 lakh rupees of your airfare will be reimbursed. But that will be only reimbursed through the council. Ministry provides us as a separate grant. When we organize BSM, say for example, talking about Atith on travel and tourism, talking about GS, when we'll be inviting importers from overseas, the government is taking care of 100% of their airfare and hotel, limited to 75,000 or 1 lakh, depending on the region from where they will benefit. By participating in the event and government subsidizing their visit, you are not going to incur too much of the costs for the participation cost and your stay in Delhi or any part of the country. You are chance to meet so many overseas business potential, import under one platform, and that too through our portal, pre-scheduled meeting programs ingrained into it. So these are the details. In fact, I won't run through. It will be available, but display. This is something merchandise export have been using it. Say for tea, there are certain departmental stores or some area where they put up the positioning from India's point of view. The tea from India, like that, tea board does that. In case of services, we can also undertake some, what is given. But in case of services, if you have some, say for example, chartered accountants or animation, the providers of animation gaming services, if they can come up with such noble ideas, ministry will be keen to offer that a bit of as one-time grant, and gradually, that grant gets on reducing basis, self-sufficient more. So these are the things. Publicity campaign and brand promotion that we can undertake for any given sector, provided In pharma, we did Pharmacy of the World. In case of services, we are trying to do India, but with, and I mentioned of the world, but that was Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. For Ministry of Commerce, government is ready to provide us the funding support, but novel ideas should be there. Publication of world-class catalogs. That can be done only through the council. So 50 lakh per market per annum is given. Rest 50% has to be borne by the industry. Say, for example, if we are incurring a cost of 100 rupees, preparing a catalog for chartered accountants from India or certain specific services they are offering, 50% cost has to be borne by the participating company. 50% ministry will bear, and council will promote that, will distribute these kind of catalogs everywhere in the world. And this can be an ongoing exercise. So please make these are the things which are not known, but please, when I'm making it, today we are discussing it, I would request more and more questions on these things also. Besides SEIS, of course, whether it is going to continue or not. Research, product development, services development has also been integrated now. Setting up quality certification labs, common facility centers, design centers. It all can be done if you have a proposal, 10, 15 companies are together, if they don't have issues, intra-competition. Even if it is there, internal competition is also good for the country, good for you also. Government is there to provide the support. We require the proposal which will be beneficial for you. If I know that in case of animation, for example, software import is very costly. Per machine costs a huge, expense on the software, on the hardware also. Now, in case of common facility, can we have a center, plug and play kind of center? If we have good proposal, Ministry of Commerce is ready to provide those support up to 1 crore, 65 from the ministry, 35% from the industry. Why not? This kind of handholding is there. Certification, as I mentioned, in fact, overseas experts can also be brought and under capacity building program in this particular funding support also. Make use of this. Likewise, as I mentioned, developing online portal that we are developing on behalf of our exporters. Just add your profile over there. Capacity building program. Last year, the government gave us some money, but because we could not generate requisite number of participants, we had done that. We will write to the government if you can let us know the areas where you require export development or competence development program, of course, and what kind of consultant should we hire. Of course, we will also be doing our own research. As I mentioned, statutory compliances, registration, all those things, filing, building, in pharma, in services also, in clinical trial, for example, if it is required, in, name the areas, there any statutory compliances. This benefit is given directly to the exporter on an individual basis. Verification of the paper. This is individual basis. I would be very happy if not one, but hundreds of services exporters avail this in this financial year itself. For another detail, please log in to our website. My colleagues will be there to serve you. Just to give further idea of the events, what we have undertaken. We had a high-level delegation last year in the month of April, India, US, Australia, ECT program in Bangalore, again on UAE and Australia. We did legal services, first was done, conclave was done in the month of May last year. We participated in Cannes Film Festival, followed it up with MIPCOM participation. We were there in Hanover Messe. Unfortunately, this year, we did take one stall, had the catalog and posters of our member companies. Unfortunately, this year, we had, none of them will go to this market. But I believe somebody from the engineering sector and oil and gas raised this question. So please, let us make it possible the next year. But meanwhile, you can suggest some more resolution. We signed MOU with various associations. So we did one program on travel and tourism in Rajasthan. Likewise, leveraging expansion. This is one development awareness program we did. In hospitality sector, we did program tourism and hospitality. We provided, there was an on this brainstorming session, and many of you participated actually. This was done at a very short notice on 31st August, and it has really given a lot of weightage to the demands of our industry on the support and in what way ministry can formulate certain guidelines to handle your efforts. We did engineering conclave where architectures services were also there, engineering services, environment services. A lot of focus interaction happened that day. Hospitality, tourism, as I mentioned, is and education and skilling was a part of our AGM agenda. So likewise, we did this CIS delegation. Africa, as I mentioned, 4 countries in Africa. Many more to come, and I urge all of you to remain associated with us. Bring in more and more of your network to get associated with us. It's a request not only to serve you, but to make us feel that we exist for you. We are there to serve you so that India serves the world. Thank you so much for this kind of patience you all shown to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. So shall we close the webinar now, sir?
If there is any question, I'm ready to start as well.
Mr. Sanjay Stock, one gentleman has raised his hand. Mr. Sanjay, you may ask your question, please.
No, I wanted to know, okay, what is the possibility of a scheme like SEIS being introduced in the future?
There is every possibility, because you see, it's as mentioned by the government also. It may not be exactly SEIS, because SEIS had a lot of what do you say? I don't know, say loopholes or whatever. There was a concern. There was a concern that SEIS was being misused, and as you know, earlier there was a concern that when we analyze our data, we found that out of whatever membership we had on the cumulative basis, the number of members which actually availed was much less, and 80% of that SEIS was not cornered, was in fact, had the major share of the SEIS bill. So that's why that capping was done for 5 crore. And we are continuing to write. We suggested some more schemes in lieu of SEIS, but maybe, government is also like, they are also assessing the amount of they did through this SEIS and the growth, what they expected. It was not happening that way. So that's why they have not come up with any direct based scheme. Quite possible, and they have not shut the window. Quite possible some schemes will come. And as I mentioned, it's very, they all come with a shelf life. So this was the shelf life of SEIS. Prior to that, there was SFIS. Maybe something more will come and something new format will be there. Yeah.
So can we look at something in budget 24? Is that a possibility?
In budget, you see, budget is actually different. You may look for such a scheme in FTP 2024. As I mentioned, this year, the FTP, they call it 2023. And when it was announced, Honorable Minister mentioned that they will welcome these suggestions. But you see, 2-3 things are important. Whatever incentive government is going to provide, it has to be accountable. accountable in terms of effectiveness is actually resulting in business generation or not. That is one. Second, account the concerns, and that's what you noted, that certain sectors were not given SEIS in 2019 notification because there were concerns raised at a very high level. RBI had the data to say that certain misuse happened in certain sectors and they wiped out. Of course, small players became victim. Larger companies, of course, I don't say that, some of them may have something would have gone wrong. Something, and huge funding, everything comes at a, what do you say, there is a limitation on the overall purse. Now, out of 1,000, if say, for example, 800 goes to certain 10 or 15 companies, most of MSME don't get any incentives. So these things were required to be capped. That why not spread it to larger number of players? Government is thinking about it. Instead of, why not there should be some measures like ROTAP, where duty remission, where the idea was not to make your taxes export. So how do we address that? So we submitted one duty remission scheme as well, but it was very complicated, and it was very, very, specific. I mean to say, when we talk about SEIS, it was general. But when duty remission comes, how do you have the measurable parameters in case of accountancy services? How do you measure such thing in case of medical value tourism or in tourism? So it became very difficult. It was not considered. We did talk about, simplifying SEIS, making it more broad-based with a different name, but that also didn't go through. Maybe next year we can be there with some more new ideas and some more inputs. So that's what I can also.
Sir, one last question. What about
Right.
export status for tourism?
On road shows, government is keeping what?
What about export status for tourism industry?
You see, I would like to quote this. Minister did mention about it in the recent meeting. Some of the state definitely has given tourism the state industry status. Minister's view is that, in case of the challenges which are being faced, like in the funding support from banks or certain things, insurance agency, he says that if the credibility is good, you're in any case getting. But of course, like there is demand, get the status from the government. We are also working on it. Right now, we are not in a position to say whether it will be given or not by the central. But the state governments have started giving.
Okay, sir. So because we have to make the country more affordable, and if we can get input of all the taxes, it will make us really affordable compared to Southeast Asia.
In fact, let me come back on that. I would request, we are working on the issues relating to taxation given to us, and if you can also send one paper to us, the areas would like to. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So this presentation that you gave, it's available online, or should I write to somebody to get?
We will make it available itself on the portal. Yeah.
On the portal.
And we'll provide you with the link.
Yeah. Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Our discussion will portal for anyone to see. Yeah. And anything else?
Hi, sir. Could I ask one question, please?
Yeah, please.
Hi, sir. So since I'm new to SEPC and I just heard the system for the first time, right? So just one very simple question. So like there's drawback. I know, I mean, you've said it a lot of time, but since there is drawback and ROTAP on physical exports, so if we become a member, is there any existing incentive on service exports as of now, apart from SEIS?
You see, only existing incentive is MAI and some of the schemes of the other ministries. There is no ACIS. And this is the last notification came in the year 2021. for 1920. Okay, so no scheme is there. But you see, don't look at from the scheme perspective. If you get associated, and in case some schemes get announced, you become eligible.
Okay.
Look from that point of view.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Should I close?
Yeah, there are some questions, but shall we take those questions now? Abhishek, you want to
I
ask
believe
any?
I have answered everything. I can answer on one-to-one basis as well. At the venue, they're all calling me. Today being the last day, next only 3 hours remaining for the exhibition, so I need to go there.
Right, sir. So shall we close the webinar now?
Yeah.
Thanks.
My sincere thanks to. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. We are closing the webinar now. Thank you very much.